Are you part-time or full-time? And does it matter? Find out.
Speechless. Speechless.
Hi, I'm Kim Wilson,
And I'm Natasha Marchewka.
and this is Speechless. Welcome to our behind-the-scenes take on real life in VO, where we share our stories and our resources and our unsolicited opinions. We have two more summertime guests for you. These two folks are incredible voice actors in their own right, but also have been part of the entertainment industry for a long time. And we get to know them and their stories. You want to introduce them, Natasha?
Sure. First, I'm going to say why these two people, why did we match them up together? Well, they happen to be part of our Speechless Secret Society. We've been spending this summer interviewing the fascinating people in our group. And that's why you'll get to meet Christopher Cinnamon and Kevin Brunei today. Christopher has been in film for a really long time, and he has a really interesting story about what he's done in voiceover and how it's led him up to today. And Kever is like beyond belief amazing, an incredible background in singing, and now taking the voiceover world by storm. So have a listen. Welcome to our show, guys. We're so happy to have you here today. What did you bring to share, to cheers with, to toast with? Did you bring a beverage, Kever?
So I have my favorite cup.
Oh, hello. Is that for Clemson? No. Who is it for?
This is from the old restaurant, the Elephant Bar, that used to be in Los Angeles.
Oh,
And it
looks
has
like
a
you
little
don't have the
handle
title.
here so you don't like spill your drink.
For those of us just listening, it is a
Yeah.
giant tiger claw cup.
Yeah, it is amazing. And it is filled with Saratoga sparkling water.
Oh, nice. I thought you were going to
fancy.
say vodka. Okay, cool. Wow, it's a big cup.
It's a big cup, right?
Christopher, what did you bring to toast with?
I have some bubbly sparkling water or buble.
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 Nice.
However
I
you-
prefer buble.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
flavor did you bring?
Well, he does the commercials. So this is peach flavored buble.
Yum.
Yum.
And what
Yum.
did you bring?
I brought an habanero sugared rim of a mango margarita.
Ooh, yum. Well, I
Very
went frozen as well, too. I have a smoothie with cashews, banana, blueberry, and strawberry. So cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for
Cheers.
being here.
Thanks
Woohoo.
for inviting me.
Mhm. Well, we're going to ask them about their VO journey. And they both have really interesting backgrounds, different than any that I've heard. So,
Mm.
Kevin, why don't you start? Tell us about your VO journey.
Well, let's see. How far back do we want to go? All right.
Pull up your chairs, kids.
I started in the entertainment industry a little bit earlier than my VO journey in music.
Mm.
And I got into the union when it was AFTRA and SAG, not SAG-AFTRA, as a kid. And then got into doing music for television, which got me into SAG, Taft-Hartley, into SAG, and then got into voiceover a little bit later. And that was kind of from my girlfriend's parents talking about voiceover and just talking about talking and characters. And we were so intrigued by it that we decided to hang out at the studio with them because we were both musicians. So we just kind of went to, Studio A, Studio B, and just hung out with them just to see what it was about. And from there, I took a class with a lady named Jessica. She is a very famous animation voice right now. And it catapulted from there, and I've just loved it from day
Oh
one.
my
I
gosh.
love voiceover. Love, 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 love it.
Kever's very modest. She's done backup singing for big, big stars like Kever, like Michael
Well,
Jackson.
yes,
Like
I've sang
what?
background for
Yeah.
Michael. Yes, I performed at the Hollywood Bowl with Charlie Hayden, done some stuff with U2, done some
I gotta
stuff
go.
with Isley's. Yeah, and I feel bad. There's a whole lot of other people that I'm not mentioning
Oh,
here.
just you two.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Whatever.
but I love the microphone, obviously. I probably have like 10 different microphones. I have a couple more that I would like to get, but they probably cost more than my car. So I don't
Oh
know if I'm gonna
my
get those.
gosh.
But I love the microphone. So I'm excited that you guys invited me to even, chat about the journey. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love
Wow.
you.
Don't tell us
Oh,
your relatable moment yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold that. Hold on to that because we want to hear from Christopher.
Pepper
mm,
Tell
Cinnamon. That's
us
the
about your,
greatest
um,
last
yeah.
name ever.
Yeah, Cinnamon is your last name. Who,
it is.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you could have a last name as a spice, girls, what would you pick? Come on now.
Spice
Kever,
Girls.
what
Cinnamon.
would be your
Oh,
last name if you could have a
okay.
spice?
If I could have a spice, I would be, I don't know. If I could be a spice,
I think
I would
Christopher
be,
has it with cinnamon.
I mean, cinnamon is really nice,
It
I
right?
is.
know. I
Yeah.
can't think of
What
a
else
better
would you
one.
want to
I don't
be?
know. Like, would I be Kever turmeric? Would I
Ever
be,
cayenne?
ooh, I like
Ooh,
Kever
Kevin
cayenne.
Cayenne.
There it is, Kever
Or
cayenne.
Sage. I know somebody with the last name Sage.
Oh,
Sage is a
Sage
nice
is what I would
herb.
choose.
Got a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like those, Kever sage.
Hmm. I got lucky though with cinnamon because everybody always remembers it.
Right.
And some, even
Natasha
if they
helped
don't
me.
remember my face when I say my name, they're like, "Oh, right, right, that's right, yeah."
Yeah.
Cinnamon
Okay.
guy.
The
Enough about
cinnamon guy.
about your name.
The
Yeah.
cinnamon guy. Okay,
Cinnamon
tell
guy.
us about your story. We'd love to hear how you got into voiceover.
Well, my background is that I um, loved theater in high school and wanted to be an actor. And then, kind of toward the end of high school, I had my midlife crisis at the age of like 17, 18. And I was like, it wasn't my parents, it was me saying, what am I doing? Like, and just
Oh.
doubting that confidence. And so,
Sure. 17 going on 45.
Oh.
yeah. So I ended up, um, as soon as I graduated high school in Ontario, I hopped on a train and headed to Western Canada.
By
Uh,
yourself?
I had by myself. I had some family out in British Columbia, so and a cousin that was fairly close in age to me that it was more kind of like best friends as opposed to cousins. And I just wanted to stay in Western Canada and still didn't have a plan other than I was like, I don't think acting's going to do it. So I ended up at the University of Lethbridge. And what I liked about that program was that you didn't have to declare a major
Mm.
Mm.
within your first 2 years. And in my innocence with everything, I thought, oh, as soon as I declare a major, then that's it. Like I have to go down that road, and I'm not ready to make that kind of. So
Oh.
anyway, they were
Pressure, pressure.
a liberal arts institution, and with a lot of focus on just exploring courses and figuring out and heavy on the humanities and all that. So I
Yeah.
ended up doing a double major in anthropology and theater. And I came
Wow.
back to the theater. And what I loved about anthropology, which I didn't realize, was that it was a study of culture. And
Mm.
I specifically started exploring theater and performance rituals and traditions in different cultures,
Wow.
very connected to theater. And it just really kind of opened my world. And then what I came to realize was that anthropology and theater are the perfect combination because with
Hmm.
every show, you're creating a brand new world, even if it's fantastical. And there's cultures and things, and the richer it is, the more exciting it is, like Harry Potter. And there's an anthropology to there's a
Wow.
culture about Harry Potter. So
Mm.
anyway, that's what sort of kept me in the arts. And then during my undergrad, I was in this really unique show where they asked me and a couple of other guys to do some voiceover stuff that was going to be, it was part of the show where we were doing stuff on stage, but you could hear our
Mhm.
voiceovers. And it was somebody when I did that, the fellow that was recording it just sort of sat up and said, wow, like you have got this really great voice. And nobody had really said that to me before. And I was a smoker at the time, and I was a little bit self-conscious of the fact that I've been smoking from the time I was 14. And I kind of thought it had affected my voice a bit. But anyway,
That
um,
great smoky textured
I,
voice that everyone wants. You had it.
and I probably did damage my vocal cords at, smoking from
Yeah.
such a young age. I don't know. Anyway, that was kind of the first time that somebody had said that to me. And the other thing that happened to me too was I really enjoyed it. Like that first time voicing something and putting a layer of meaning on top of it to convey something to an audience. And
Mm.
I really dug it. Um, so that was sort of my taste of it. And then it wasn't until years later I went on and I did my master's in directing at the University of Calgary in theater, and then I started working in film to deal with my massive debts. And it was like more crew work, and I sort of shifted out of the performance and was more directing was my thing. And I went into the assistant directing department in film and TV, and but I always kind of wanted to get back to doing voiceover. And I dabbled just a little wee bit, but had no training, no courses, no anything. And then had another midlife crisis, um, kind of around like 2012 or so. I just wanted to get out of film. It was really the hours and stuff were killing me. There was
Arduous.
no work-life balance.
Mhm.
And so I made a decision. I was working on this show, and I I had apprehension. I wanted to leave film, and then I had this opportunity to work on a film with a director named Jean-Pierre Jeunet, and he had directed one of my very favorite films, a
Which
movie
is?
a movie called Amélie that was,
Oh, yes.
yeah, and it was Oscar nominated, and so
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, he directed like one of my very favorite films. I really want to work with this guy. And they were doing a unit shoot in Alberta. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do like this one more job, and then I'm really going to start to explore. And I made myself a promise, and I said, after this job, I want to explore another venue line of work that's going to let me also explore voiceover and have some income coming in. And then I'm going to start to take some classes. And I really want to dive into this voiceover thing. And then here's my interesting story. What ended up happening was I was working on this show, and the lead actor was like a 8-year-old little boy. And there was a scene where he was about to run away from home, and he could hear the voice of his dog in his head. And so they just turned to, I was on set. I was sort of I was the English part of the first assistant directing team. And so I was sort of communicating with the English crew, and then there was a French assistant director that was Jean-Pierre's assistant director. Um, and so I was on set the entire time. And so they turned to me and said, "Will you like, can you read these lines? Can you cue our star here?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And so they said, "Okay, we're going to put you offset in this other room, and we're going to give you a microphone," which was actually a wire that I spoke into. Like it
Oh,
was just a
interesting.
little wire. And they had put like an earbud in the little boy's ear so that he could get his cues. And so they set up the scene. And then my first thought, like right before I started, was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be right in this kid's ear. They didn't do a volume check with me. And so I was like, oh, I don't want to throw this kid off. And I just want to be as unintrusive as possible and not throw this kid. And so my lines were coming up, and I just like spoke very, very softly into this microphone. And one of the lines was, "Why is everybody always leaving this place?" And I just said it like real, just like that, like really quiet and unintrusive. And so they did,
Gentle and intimate.
yeah. And they did 3 or 4 takes. And then I stepped out of the room, and the whole crew was looking at me. And the little boy came up and like kind of like hugged me. And then Jean-Pierre turned around and said, "That what you did, like will you be my dog for me? And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So,
Oh my
Oh, I've
gosh.
got
so I
chills.
ended up I ended up recording that the voice of the dog in it. The movie was called The Young and Prodigious T.S. Spivet. And it was with this director that had directed one of my favorite films in the whole world, and Helena Bonham Carter was in it.
Oh,
And
wow.
Gosh.
yeah, it was just this crazy moment. So it was sort of because I had made myself this promise of after this movie, I'm really going to start to dig into voiceover. And then this thing happened. I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I'm going to take that as a pretty good sign.
I mean,
So cool. That is so cool.
you
So
had us
Yeah.
on the edge of our seat, really,
Well, I'm a
Christopher.
storyteller too, right?
Dang.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Fantastic.
since then it's been a real struggle. And I'm I'm the biggest part of why it's such a big struggle because I just it's really I have a lot of fear, I guess, and apprehension about fully diving into the voiceover world and for a lot of different reasons.
Sure.
And the biggest thing is like financial that I
Yeah.
just
mhm.
get freaked
Well,
out.
now
And
that's that's very relatable. We're going to take
Hmm.
a quick break. Being the voice of a feature film, not so relatable, but being trying to start a career in voiceover, very relatable. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Badalgo. What is it? It's one of our favorite online casting platforms.
Why? Because it's easy. Because we can be booked directly and we can set our own rates.
Clients directly negotiate with us, and Badalgo does not charge commission fees.
Commercials, corporate, podcasts, audiobooks, e-learning, and more.
Professional,
Award-winning casting.
outstanding results.
We recommend.
Are you a completely overwhelmed VO who needs to get some tasks off your plate?
Need a second job but don't want to leave the industry?
Well, we've got you both covered. Welcome to VA for VO.
Hi, I'm Miranda Ellis.
And I'm Bridget Reel.
And I'm Lynn Norris, and we are VA for VO, the ultimate voiceover outsourcing resource.
We connect voice actors who need to outsource aspects of their VO business
To VO adjacent specialists.
So if you need help or have skills to offer, come talk to us.
We offer education, connection, and community.
We'd love for you to be a part of it.
Visit vaforvo.com to learn more.
Hey, did you know that the very first newsletter in our industry still exists today?
I did. It's called Voiceover Extra.
Mhm. It's got daily announcements, it's got career building advice, it's got products, opportunities.
Tons of articles, tons of
Yes.
webinars to purchase.
Yes, and we're going to be extra, so extra, and tell you to sign up for VoiceOver Extra. Tell them how.
You go to voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com. The Voiceover Resource Guide. What is the Voiceover Resource Guide?
It's an incredible networking tool. Not only that, but it's also the industry's oldest publication since, drumroll please, 1988.
Sounded like a cat. The publication comes out twice a year and now covers LA and New York and Chicago.
And there's also a free online version called thevorg.net.
Right. Here you can find recording studios, casting services, agents, rates, demo production, events, and so much more, and has the most up-to-date map search.
That's pretty cool. You can pick up your very own publication in various locations across the United States, or just go to thevorg.net and get one shipped right to you.
Okay, we're back with Christopher and Kever, and we're
And I
going-
just
Yeah.
want to say one quick thing about just finishing up with Christopher's story and how it has been hard. And I think that is true for so many of us, full-time or part-timers, is the financial piece. And, you know, where is that next job going to come from? And you can do as much marketing and preparation, and it's like where the prepper. I think we talked about it a couple shows ago, Natasha, where you said it's the preparation and where opportunity meet. You finally get your the jobs that you need to survive, and it's
Luck.
very hard.
Luck's involved too.
And luck, and a little bit of luck, and it is hard. So you're not alone, Christopher, when you say that it's hard, and making that leap is
Well,
so
let's
stressful.
continue with Christopher and his relatable situation. So tell us about, I think you have an agent. Explain to us your situation now, because that is a very relatable story in terms of,
Mm.
you know, what do you do beyond where you are at this moment? So you have one agent in Canada?
I I have two agents, but what's interesting is the my other agent, the I'm always surprised when I hear from her because there's just not much of a relationship there. It's very strange. And I've tried to build that relationship. But it's odd.
Mhm.
So there's one agent, my main agent is out of Calgary, and she really only covers like Alberta.
Oh,
Um, or there may be like it's stuff that records here in Calgary.
okay.
So it may, the odd time I'll get something that maybe it's going to air like outside of Alberta. I had an audition the other day that, the region was California for some interesting reason, and they were recording it here in Calgary. But yeah, most of the stuff is commercial, and that I record at a studio. I record my auditions, and then when I get the jobs, I record at a studio in Calgary. There's a few different studios in Calgary, and that's essentially it. So I guess the relatable, here's my struggle is that, um, well, it's two part. It's that I take these deep dives and I go really, really deep in
Mm.
like, what can I do? And I'm like scrambling. I feel like I'm all over the place, and I need to take online classes and in-person classes, and get in like, what am I lacking in technical and YouTube videos and um, Facebook groups, and just like on and on and on. I just go in so many different directions. And while that's happening, and I've done voice 1, 2, 3 in the past, and other things, and in the midst of all that, I think I really sabotage my confidence level in that, what can I do to be getting no job, or to be getting more jobs? And if it isn't happening quick enough, I start to feel really insecure. Uh,
Hmm.
and and then I always end up jumping back into film, for the money, and it's something that I know, um, and then I'll do a show or two, or however long, and then I'll get to the point where I'm like, I have no more work-life balance. I'm not feeling fulfilled. I want to get back into doing voiceover work. And so it's been this tug of war with me for so long. Um, and yeah, that's kind of the point that I'm at now, is that, um, I don't consider myself a professional voiceover guy, because I'm such a part-timer. Um, and I don't want to be a part-timer, but there's the financial side of it and the mental health side of it too.
Sure,
And that,
sure.
I get to the point where I'm like, oh, like, what am I doing? I'm never going to make a living at this. I'm isolated. I'm not connected with people. I'm not all of these things. So it's a, it's a struggle. But all of that being said, I also like, I really love it. Like when I'm when I do get those jobs, or I hear from my agent, and it's that email of like, checking your availability for, and I'm like, oh, I am good enough. I am, so
I ride
it's
that train too.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all do. Everyone does. Except for maybe Kever. I'm not sure because Kever's been like a pro
Oh my
forever.
God.
Thank you for
Wow.
sharing, Christopher. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that was
For
really
what have you got that's relatable for us in terms of any funny stories, or in in general in a big picture kind of thing because you've done amazing things. You're always calm and cool. And unlike I think behind the scenes, a lot of us are just sweating. Like we had a show that aired last week with Amy and Nikki. And
Yes.
Nikki was sharing how, well, a very frenetic story that I can relate to very much. Kever, are you always so cool, calm, and collected?
Yeah. And how can we all have some? Kever
Christopher's
Sage.
like, come on, give it up.
Right.
I'm not always cool, calm, and collected, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
I do have a side that's totally goofy. I have a side that a whole tender side. I've actually written a book that you can kind of see in the back that's about grief relief. That was about the passing of
Oh,
my parents and my eldest
wow.
brother. So I do have that whole melancholy side where I have days that I just have to sit outside in my garden and just cry, right? I do
Mhm.
have
Yeah.
those days. And I think that kind of balances, all of the hectic time of voiceover and just life and
Mhm.
family and just living, period, And
Mhm.
then, I've written, books for kids with my friend Kathy, who does claymation. And so I think with my writing, as well as daily prayer and meditation and exercise. I attempt to drink a lot of water every day. Some days I kind of miss the boat on that one, no pun intended. But I mean, I really try to make sure that my days are balanced. And
Right.
that's
Yeah.
not something that I came up with. When I was in music school, they taught us financial literacy and time management.
Uh,
So we had to
Brilliant.
make sure, right? So because in music, if you record a song or you write a song, you may not get paid until next quarter,
mm,
right?
mm,
So I don't have that real anxiety like a lot of my voiceover friends. They're like, well, do I audition for this? How much is it? When am I going to get paid? Like, what is the rate? What is the usage? I'm like, okay, you need to budget like 6 to 12 months out. If you
mhm,
get the job, you get the job. If you
mm,
don't get the job, maybe you need to spend that time doing something else. And for me, it might be working with someone writing a song or leading worship at a church, for money, right? Just doing something else for money.
Mhm.
It could be that you write an article for someone else's magazine. It could be whatever you're really good at that you love to do. And that can kind of take the edge off of the anxiety, right?
So
And
I
I
love
try to
that.
balance that to stay this calm person, right?
I
Instead of,
love that.
God.
And just jumping back to Christopher for a minute, you are a professional voiceover. And just following what Kever is saying, you love what you do. You are making money at voiceover when you do it, and you are able to make, just because you do it part-time and gather money from other sources,
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a professional voice
yeah.
actor, right?
Absolutely, because I mean, what is full time? None of us on this call talk full time, right? No, I mean honestly, right? There are
Right.
times where we have to market. So now you're a marketer because you don't have anyone on your staff that you're paying to for you. So while you're doing that, are you still doing voiceover? Is
Right.
it still full time? Is it half time? Is it okay? So a third of my time I might talk, or you might say a third of my time I may market. You might say a third of my time I might do content, or a third of my time I might be doing film, or whatever your ratio is. You know what I mean? I don't
Hmm.
really feel that it's a full time, part time in that area when it comes to entertainment, Christopher. It's like if you're doing entertainment, you are an entertainer full time, and all you do to make money is you entertain.
Mm,
Mm,
It's not like you have your
period.
carpenter by day and your voiceover by night, right? If all you do goes through an agent or it goes through a manager or it goes through whatever you're doing creatively, whether it's film, voiceover, singing, acting, mocap, whatever that is, you are a full-time person in the entertainment industry. At least that's how we were taught in school. Whatever it is you're doing in under that umbrella, whatever genre it is, you're still that's your bread and butter. It's still putting food on your table,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you are professional in all that you do, obviously, right? So I would definitely, go on the side of yes, you are a professional VO. Yes, you are professional in your film and your directing and your writing and whatever else, it is that you do. If you bring a professional attitude to it, we were taught that that makes you a professional. If you're good at it, you know how to do it, you're on time, you've made some money from it, right? That brings your professionalism. So you are a professional, Mr.
Here,
Cinnamon.
here, Kevin.
Yes,
That was good.
that was
Right.
good,
And scene.
right?
Wow. Nice.
Wow. Well, do you have a relatable moment you'd like to share with us,
How
Kevin?
relatable would you like it to be?
Oh, it can be
Well,
as
we
relatable
can
as.
give an example. So,
Okay.
my relatable one is that bringing mental health into the fold again. We just talked about it briefly, but I was really struggling having my office downstairs. I didn't have a door on my office. It used to be the dining room. I work from home, but now my husband works from home. It's summer, my kid's home. My
Yeah.
daughter comes home every week from college. And I was just, my anxiety level was raising because I just couldn't get the peace I needed to do my job. And part of it is the administrative and people walking by all the time and feeling like I needed to be on call for my family. But the other piece is being in the booth and even with the door closed, not feeling like I can let go.
Mhm.
So, after 5 years of living in this home, this baby has moved upstairs. So I now am in a bedroom upstairs with a door that can close. This is my second day in the booth up here, and feels like a new, it feels like a new
A
life. So
new
I do
start. Yeah, nice.
recommend making the changes one needs to
Hmm.
hopefully not feel anxious.
Yeah.
So that's my sort of relatable story. Kim,
Yeah.
I love it.
what have you
Oh,
got?
is something as simple as getting ready to record right for a session and putting on my earphones and they're not working. And I was freaking out because, time is ticking. And it's like, I'm like, what is going on? I'm clicking. And my cat had eaten the cord.
Uh,
So I luckily ran downstairs and thank God my husband does music. So he had
Yes,
these are actually his, and
Oh,
I stole his stuff and I hooked it up and I was in here, but man, that was not a fun moment. Us, sweating. Hi, yeah, everything's fine. You know. And
So, do you
yeah.
ever get flustered like that, Kevin? Do you have any other moments? Or, I mean, you're the consummate professional. Please tell me that you have a moment.
there are moments, and those moments. So the relatable piece of it is I take the time to, now that yours is upstairs, right? I take the time to really, what's the word? Consecrate this space, right?
Mm,
So I will go inside, I will sit down on the floor, and
Really,
I will just go and have a Zen moment and make
really.
sure that this room, right? Because you never know. When you get ready for a session, I've been in sessions where you have 5 directors and they give you 5 different directions because they want to have those various takes. Or you have one director, but you do 10 takes because they have 10 different styles that they want. So for that chaos that will then be created in there, I try to, what is it called? Where you like shore it up beforehand, right? So I try to make sure that when I walk in that booth, that it's calming, right? There's a little bit of fragrance that I've had out here with my aromatherapy station over there with some, lilacs and lilies and flowers and orchids, right? And I really try to make that moment or those moments in there as peaceful internally because the chaos is all here. People are telling
Yeah.
you things and you're taking notes, right? And you're
right.
trying to remember, and they say, well, take it back to the top. Okay, on the fifth take, can you read it like you did it on the first take?
You're like,
Right?
what?
I'm
Yeah.
out.
And so your
I
brain
don't
is just
remember.
like, oh my goodness, what are you talking about? Right? So I do get a little scatterbrained with that. The way I dealt with that was I bought an iPad and an Apple Pencil. So I
Uh-huh.
take notes. If it's a different uh, director, it's a different color. right? And
Oh,
so if
okay.
one person says, can you do what I asked you to do on like the second take on the B that you did on the ABCs? And can you give it a little lift? So I'm like, okay, okay, okay. And then I do it, right? Because my goal is always, if you booked me for an hour, I want to give you 27 minutes of greatness. And
Right.
you're going to be amazed that we're done in 30,
Wait.
right?
Yeah.
So when I walk in there, it's, I try to get one with myself.
Yep.
And even if I'm rushing, I've run late before, and you go on to Source Connect and Source Connect is not connecting. And then you're just like, oh my goodness, it's not Source Connect's fault. Maybe I should push the button. I had the mute button on, right? And so you're in there and you're like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. But then you're just like, okay, it's
Yeah.
just another session, right? But the
Yeah.
chaos
So
does
inspiring.
happen. And one thing I will tell everybody, do not exercise on your hydro rower before you go into a session because you will sweat. It's right. If you exercise and then you take a shower, what happens? And you walk into a 4x6,
You are
and then I'm
dripping
like, oh my God, what's going on?
on
Can we take a
camera.
water break? Right on camera. That
Oh my
part.
God.
You're
Yes,
just
I
on
know.
camera and you're drenched. And you're like, okay, I don't want to do the t-shirt scene. I'm like, okay, can we just take a little break? Right. So that's my area of chaos, is just like, oh my goodness, how do you calm it down? I try to keep the
Right.
chaos to maybe a minute or two, right? And
Nice.
then just try to figure it out. So
Nice.
that's my
I love it.
relatable moments.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for
Ooh.
that. These are good. Well, I'm going to take you guys through the hot seat. We're going to play a game called This or That.
Okay.
It could be one or the other, or it could be something completely different. There's not a whole lot of rules to this, but here we go. It's voiceover related lead-ins or not.
Lead-ins or not?
And by lead-ins, you mean like I'm thinking of when like when I'm recording at a studio, well, they'll sort of play me like what I've done,
Mm.
No, I
or
mean like
it's a
the
pickup.
script says introducing the all new Netflix Prime. I don't know, I made that up. And you say, hey, check it out. Introducing the all new Netflix Prime. Do you give
Get some
yourself a lead
words.
in or do you not? Do you just go into introducing Netflix Prime?
Kevin, what do you do?
Clearly, you don't do lead ins. Christopher is a no.
No, now that you've said that, yes, I do. At like sometimes, and then I edit it out.
Of
Yes.
course. Yes.
Yeah. But thanks for explaining lead in, because there's that whole like I'm so innocent.
I do lead-ins in an audition. I do
Okay.
not do lead-ins in a session. Usually because the person, the director or producer that's talking is my lead-in. And I
Mhm.
simply respond to what they've said.
Oh, nice. Love that tip.
Very
Write that
nice.
tip down, Kim.
Yeah, got
That's a
it.
good tip.
That is a good tip. All right. Who are you? Or who are you speaking to? Or it could be something totally different. When you
I
read a script, who are you? Or who are you speaking to?
When I read a script, I often think of who am I? Because I want to be in the scene. I don't want to be on the sidelines, kind of, you know what I mean? Like I want to be in the moment, in the scene. I want to be a part of it all. I want to be the solver or the agitator or the comedian or the whatever. I want to be in it to win
All
it.
right.
Love it.
Nice.
Love that.
Christopher, how
Hmm.
about you?
And I almost always go with who am I speaking to?
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And what do they need from me? That's almost always my approach.
Interesting. I love this. Okay. Do any of you do long form? Raise your hand. Neither of you do long form? Okay. Natasha. All
I
right.
don't
We're going to
count.
skip that one. Do you guys do warm-ups every day for your
Yes.
vocals or only sick
Oh,
and
they both
strained?
do. They're both nodding their
Both,
head.
you nodding yes. All right. Both every day. I'm a sick or strained. Okay.
Yeah, I just find that I find that I can get so much more out of so much more happens with my voice
Yes.
when I warm up, and it's almost always, it's always singing. Always. And then during the songs, I'll sort of go off track and I'll start to do facial stretches.
Mhm.
So I'll be singing and then I'll be mwah, mwah, mwah,
Oh,
mwah,
yeah.
and I'll just
Yes.
really
I
get
like
things
that
moving.
one.
Fun.
But then I find like when I do that, or if I'm driving to like, because I live out in the country, when I get a job and I'm driving in to do a session, that whole like 40-minute drive is singing. And then
Nice.
when I get in there, it's so much more happens with my voice. So I'm
Nice.
actually fearful of not warming up.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a
I
good way to
totally
be.
agree. Yeah, like warming up for me gives me so much more range in
Yeah.
my
Mhm.
voice. It gives me so much more like attitude and direction and warmth or coolness or longevity, for lack of a better word, right? And it could be singing, it could be tongue twisters, it could be reading the script backwards, it could
Uh,
be using a singing straw, because sometimes, you may stumble over unfamiliar words, right? Or that phrasing may just be kind of off. So,
Yeah.
I do my best to warm up at least every day. Sometimes I warm up before every session, you
Let
know.
this be a note to myself that I will warm up from now on. I've got 2 more quick questions for you.
Okay.
Headphones on or off when you record?
Half and half.
Half and half. How
One
about
ear
you,
on and one
Christopher?
ear on. One ear on and one ear off.
I'm headphones off. And it's because of that critic in my head that I just find that if I have the headphones off when I'm recording my auditions, there's less judgment.
Yeah, you're not listening to yourself. I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when I go in for a session, I ask them to turn it down quite low for me so I can still hear myself, but
Mm.
it's really unobtrusive.
Nice.
Nice.
Very good.
Okay, last one. Pants on or off?
I always get dressed before a session.
Okay.
I don't
She's
know
a
why.
pants on.
I don't know.
Christopher, are you wearing pants or not?
Um, I'm always clothed. Uh, but if I need to be wearing shorts, let's put it this way, I dress differently in my own booth for something like this, as opposed to when I'm in session.
He's like,
Uh,
actually, I'm not wearing pants now.
so
Yeah.
right now I'm shorts.
Thank you guys so much for being here and sharing your stories with us and your very vulnerable attitudes about coming in here and just being so open and honest with us. And I know that our viewers are taking so much of this in and taking it to heart. So thank you so much. Really,
Thank
really
you, guys.
appreciate you guys.
Cheers.
Thank you for
Cheers.
inviting us.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This episode of Speechless is brought to you by
Speechless.